Boys and girls, children of all ages, stay where Network Pilot brings you cards subject to change with Hassel. And this week, we got a doozy for you. So this week we got, what if the Macho Man had returned to the WWF in the year 2000? So as you know, Macho Man returned to WCW and signed a new deal with them in 99. Or extended his deal, however you want to put it. But when he returned in 99, he had a revamped look. He had the sporting the hair slicked back in a ponytail. He was donning black attire with stars, updated, rougher, grungier look. And most importantly, he had Gorgeous George with him. Yeah, that's right. She upgraded him. She got him a little more hipper and made him look a little more modern. So he returned to WCW, quickly winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. But like a lot of WCW World Championship reigns in the year 1999, it was short-lived, a few weeks at best, typically is about anyone, the longest anyone held it, Sting included. But they were priming Macho to be a top-notch heel. Unfortunately, even though he was paired up with Sid and the Dogface Gremlin Rick Steiner, he had a backstage segment with Tori Wilson that was led to look like domestic abuse, and their legal department at Time Warner, I forget what they call them now, but standards and practices. They hampered them a good bit back in the day, and especially towards the end there, because they didn't want them there anyways. So they told him to write Macho off TV. Macho made one or two more appearances leading into 2000, early 2000, some house shows, shit like that. Not a lot, but he was done. But what if, when he was written off TV around September of '99, what if he returned to the WWF? What if hell did freeze over? I mean, it froze over for Punk. So, what if in this timeline it froze over there? And the Macho Man returned for one final run with his updated look. I mean, he was jacked. He was jacked to the gills. Sure, he was juicing, but hey, that's neither here nor there. You think Triple H was clean? I don't. So, what if? Let's lead into it. Let's dive into it. The old meat and taters of it. Let's see what we got. So, at the Royal Rumble in the year of our Lord 2000, we're down to the final bit of it right there. You got The Rock and Big Show at the end. But entrant 30 has yet to arrive when all of a sudden, "What Up, Mach" plays. And with his updated music, out comes the Macho Man with Gorgeous George. What if? What if he come down to the ring and the roof blowing off? As Gorilla Monsoon would say, "This place is bananas." What if? You would have one hell of a stare down between Macho, Big Show, and The Rock in the ring. What if, during the three-man battle right there, Big Show gets carried away, hoisting The Rock up on his shoulders and going to eliminate him. Then Macho Man sneaks up from behind, using the Big Show's weight against him, throwing them both over. Your winner, and the new #1 contender for the WWF Championship, Macho Man Randy Savage, has won the 2000 Royal Rumble. Now the next night on Raw, Macho Man will come down to the ring to a massive ovation. I mean, let's just face it, what's old is new again sometimes. You got to go away, learn a new hold, and return home. He's home. Do you think Hogan was big in 2002 when he returned? Macho would have got a similar response. The fans loved Macho, and especially the WWF fan. They would have loved to have seen this. So Macho returns, huge ovation. JR's in the ring talking to him. But then, of course, before he can get too far into the promo, that No Chance in Hell music plays. That's right. Vinnie Mac himself comes down to the ring, looking up at Savage square in the eyes, telling him, "It'll be a cold day in hell before you ever wrestle for the WWF again, let alone for the WWF Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. There's no way in hell I'm giving you a contract." Savage would then smile at McMahon, telling him, "It's already too late, brother, because I have an ironclad contract and it's signed by McMahon. Linda McMahon. Vince would be irate. Savage would continue to grin as he looked at him and tells him, "Oh yeah, and by the way, I got the Hogan clause on my contract when it comes to you. When it comes to Vince McMahon and tampering with me and my contract and my daily, weekly activities, I got the Hogan clause. So if that don't work for me, brother, it ain't happening." Savage would have the last laugh. Savage would leave, pissing off Vince. Well, Vince could no longer take it out on Macho Man that night. So he then would look out and tell The Rock, "Well, I tell you what, Rock, I can take it out on you because you don't have a Hogan clause. And tonight you will face The Big Show." Later in the night, Big Show and The Rock would have their normal battle they usually had. But of course, the corporation, McMahon and the goons, would jump The Rock along with The Big Show. When out would come Macho Man Randy Savage, steel hand in chair to make the save, clearing the house, cleaning the ring out. When he would then get his hands on Vince McMahon, climbing to the top rope, dropping the elbow all the way down into Vince's chest, and leaving the crowd happy. What if the next week on Raw, it is announced that at No Way Out, Macho Man Randy Savage and The Rock will face Big Show and Vince McMahon in a tag team matchup? What if? Now, what if going in to No Way Out, you have some pretty good promos with Rock and Macho. Let's just be honest. They could have some great chemistry together. When Macho Man let him know, "Oh, you're not little Dewey anymore." Just a lot of fun things I think could have happened here. But leading into the pay-per-view, we get some back and forth between them, with Vince occasionally getting the upper hand a little bit, but we can't give too much because it's early in Savage's run. You don't want to kill him off just yet. So, what if, at No Way Out, Savage and The Rock pick up the dub, dropping the elbow on Vince McMahon once again, and getting the 1, 2, 3 so that Vince drops the fall and Big Show don't, we keep Big Show strong? What if? Now this would lead into our build for WrestleMania 2000. We could have a great build between Triple H, who has the perfect amount of youth, with Savage's legendary experience and icon status. What if? What if on that go home Raw though, Triple H tells the Macho Man, "Hey old man, your time's over. It's my time now. I'm the game. I'm the man around here." What if though, Savage plays off a little innuendo, smiles at him and says, "Why don't you ask Steph about my age?" What if? This would lead to an epic battle, obviously. They would break down Raw, we'd end the show with one hell of a slobber knocker between the two. But what if at WrestleMania 2000, in the main event, Triple H and Macho Man would have a 30-minute roller coaster ride up and down where they both looked really sharp, really good. I think these two would have great ring chemistry. But what if, when Steph goes to do some underhanded tactics, Gorgeous George, of all people, makes the save there, decking Stephanie, getting her off the apron, putting them things on her herself. For Triple H, who has been distracted, to turn right around and walk into a pedigree from the Macho Man, who would then ascend the top rope, dropping the big elbow and getting the 1, 2, 3. For us to hear the Fink, who could say it better than anyone else. And new WWF champion, Randy Macho Man Savage. What if? What if the next night on Raw, JR would be in the middle of the ring interviewing our new WWF champion, Randy Macho Man Savage, along with Gorgeous George. When out would come No Chance. That's what you got. Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon. He's got to have somebody to be an antagonist with. Because let's face it, in the year 2000, the WWF was kind of suffering. Even though they were coming back in the ratings, they were suffering. Stone Cold is out with injury. You had Big Show, who eventually gets injured, but he's not going to get injured in our timeline. You had The Undertaker, who was out rehabbing and cleaning up some injuries. You had some things going on. Mick Foley retires after WrestleMania or Backlash. I mean, he's missing some star power. So somebody's got to be the antagonist. And in our timeline, it's going to be the Macho Man. at least for now. But what if, when Vince comes down to the ring, he runs Savage down, he's pissed off, and he's telling him, how dare you come crawling back to the WWF after you run off and abandon us for WCW, taking our sponsors, you tried to bankrupt me. Then Savage would tell him, you're damn right I'm back. And along with me, I got the measuring stick and the WWF Championship, because I'm the man around here now. What if? What if Vince tells him, well, since you're measuring things, how about you start measuring off just how damn big the Big Show is, because at Backlash, you will defend the WWF Championship against the Big Show. What if? Now, what if on the Go Home Raw before Backlash, it's Randy Macho Man Savage, the WWF Champion, and The Rock versus the Big Show and Triple H? What if over the course of this matchup, though, it is none other than, what if, I apologize, during this matchup, we got notes, people, it happens. It's technical fouls, it's live, people. But what if, during their matchup later in that night, in their tag team matchup, Vince McMahon takes the WWF Championship, clocks Savage over the top of the head. He spins around into a choke slam from the Big Show, who then gets the 1, 2, 3 on Macho, giving Macho Man his first pinfall loss. Even though it's a tag team match, he gets his first pinfall loss since returning to the WWF. You know, you could hear JR out in the audience telling everybody, is this a preview of Backlash? Will we have a new WWF champion in the Big Show? What if? What if, though, at Backlash, the Macho Man, I apologize, people. The Macho Man, he cuts an interview earlier in the night telling the crowd and telling JR, you know what? I got a giant surprise for Big Show tonight. That's right, people, because revenge is always best served cold. What if? Now, what if during the course of this matchup, they have a pretty solid matchup with the Macho Man sticking and moving, trying to tire the Giant out, just trying to get the upper hand. And when he eventually starts to wear the Giant down, or Big Show, and doing the old rope-a-dope effect, he finally starts to pull ahead. You think the Macho Man's fisting to win, but out comes Vince and Shane McMahon. That's right, people. They jump Macho Man, helping the Big Show get the upper hand. Macho goes gets a choke slam put on him. Up, down. Big Show puts the choke slam on him. It's looking like it's curtains, people. Macho Man is only going to hold the title for a month. When we hear that familiar glass shatter. That's right. And injured, but still healthy enough to throw some hands, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down to the ring with a chair in hand, cleaning house, leveling the McMahons, and eventually taking the Big Show's head off. Just enough time for Savage to send the top rope, drop the elbow, and get the 1, 2, 3. And still WWF Champion Randy Macho Man Savage. Yeah. What if? Now, the Macho Man will spend the next few months defending the WWF Championship successfully over the likes of Kurt Angle, Triple H, and even Chris Jericho. Now, could you imagine Chris Jericho and Randy Savage having some matchups? That could be really fun, because Jericho could have bounced around and made Savage look like $1,000,000. That would have been awesome. Super bueno. I'd have loved to see that. But, however, it's SummerSlam time, people. And moving into SummerSlam, the Macho Man would have to defend his WWF Championship against none other than Triple H and The Rock. Now, not only will we have a triple threat matchup, but we're going to have a special guest referee. That's right, people. We're going to tune up the band. Shawn Michaels is your special guest referee. Now, the Macho Man will begin to get a little paranoid around this time. So, Macho, he has this pattern, if you will. He gets a little paranoid, and when the goal gets on him, he tends to get that way a little more and more. So, leading into their WWF Championship match at SummerSlam, the Macho Man will go to begin to tell The Rock, I seen you side-eyeing me. You've been watching me and you've been watching my title, and I don't like it. I got you. I got my eye on you. I got you. So then, not only do you got these two versus Triple H, they've turned on each other because you know The Rock. He would be hitting him with some things. He would be putting him jabroni down, SmackDown Hotel, the works. What if? What if on that night at SummerSlam, Macho Man, he holds his own pretty damn good against Triple H and The Rock. But Shawn Michaels, who is very, very pro Triple H in this matchup, is not hiding his favoritism, so to speak. During the course of the match, Savage would get Triple H down at one point, climbing the rope and having the match won after dropping the elbow. But, ironically, The Rock and Shawn Michaels, they're in a fisticuff in the side over there. Shawn Michaels is distracted with The Rock. Now, Savage would lose it at this point, going over there and trying to get his hands on Shawn Michaels, who would then super kick Savage. Now, the Big Show would come down to the ring, clocking The Rock to get him out of the way, and then that slimy son of a gun, Triple H, would cover Savage for the 1, 2, 3 to regain the WWF Championship. What if? Now, as you can imagine, the next few weeks, Savage would not be a happy camper after just losing, being cheated out of the WWF Champion. He hadn't become full heel yet, but now he is. Now he is full-blown heel. He is a madman possessed over the next few weeks. What if every time he turns around, he's on SmackDown and Raw, he's attacking somebody, leaving them laying, often in blood? What if? What if at the Raw before No Mercy, however, Macho Man Randy Savage shows up backstage with Kane of all people, telling Kane that he likes his style, he likes what he's got going, and he likes the vengeance and the violence that Kane does. Telling him that if he wants it, he has a tag team championship opportunity for the two of them at No Mercy. Kane would nod. I'm with you. They leave. What if at No Mercy, Kane and the Macho Man make short work of those for the benefit of Flash Photography, Edge and Christian, and win the WWF Tag Team Championship? What if? Now, what if the next week on Raw, the new Tag Team Champions approach Taz of all people, with Savage telling him, you know, I used to remember when you were a badass guy. You were a human suplex machine. People feared you as the ECW Championship. What happened to you? I think it's time that you drop a Z off your name and remind every damn body why you are submission specialist, why you choke people out, and why you are the man that goes, beat me if you can, survive if I let you. Taz would agree, leaving with the tag team champions. What if? What if later in the night, when the Big Show has a #1 contendership match with Chris Benoit and The Rock, in the middle of this matchup, out of nowhere, Savage, Taz, and Kane arrive, helping the Big Show get the win? What if? Now, there would be a lot of questions at this point. Everybody be like, what the hell is going on here? When out of nowhere, Savage and the Big Show would too sweet one another, giving a nod to their time in the NWO. Now, this would lead to JR going ringside and asking Savage just what the hell is going on here. When Macho would tell him, JR, the inmates are running the asylum now. What if? What if the next week on Raw, the Macho Man and his group, dubbed the Asylum, come down to ringside, cutting a promo on everybody. Macho Man telling JR, I've always been consumed by madness anyway, so it's only fitting that Asylum now runs wild all over the WWF. He's awakened the giant within the Big Show, and at the Survivor Series, the Big Show will win the WWF Championship. What if? But that's when we'd hear some car-wrecking music we hadn't heard in a little while, when none other than Mick Foley would come down ringside, informing Savage and the Big Show and Asylum that he will be the special enforcer for the Big Show versus The Rock versus Triple H at Survivor Series. What if? Now, at the Survivor Series, Taz would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship from Chris Jericho, giving him his first singles title of relevance, because we're not counting that hardcore title bullshit. So, in our timeline, Taz has just won his first Intercontinental Championship. But what if? What if on that very same night, Kane and the Macho Man defend their titles successfully against the Hardy Boys, leaving the Hardys in a bloody mess? Now, you can just imagine the sympathy Matt and Jeff could get against Kane and Macho Man in a bloody, brutal battle. That would be fun. But what if, in the main event later in the night, the Big Show, he's renewed. He is a giant that has a purpose at this point. Because let's face it, he kind of muddied the water a whole lot in the WWF. But what if, with Savage in his ear, the devil up on his shoulder, so to speak, in a renewed purpose, what if the Big Show, he's on a tear like no other? Do you remember that early Big Show or Giant in WCW? Couldn't nobody fuck with him. So, what if on this night, that giant is awakened and he is just putting them things on him? Now, Triple H, over the course of this match, he would taunt Mick Foley several times, trying to, because he is the man that retired Foley a few months earlier. So what if over the course of this night, he keeps taunting Foley, trying to get Foley involved in some things? But what if at some point the Asylum comes down to the ring and the numbers are just too much, with Savage and Kane putting it on Mick Foley, getting him out of the way before helping to eliminate Triple H and The Rock, setting the Big Show up for a choke slam on The Rock and the 1, 2, 3, and his first WWF Championship. Now, the Asylum will be standing tall at this point. They would have all the gold with the exception of the European Championship. And what's to say they wouldn't get that as well? There's only 1 month left in the year 2000. So how do you think that they would close out the year 2000 and head into 2001? Now, a lot of good things really started turning around for the WWF in the year 2001. Of course, there's WrestleMania 17, the greatest WrestleMania of all time. A really great 2001 Royal Rumble. So how do you think the Asylum, as a new stable, would fare going in to 2001? Because Stone Cold, he just comes back and starts doing some action right around the time of Survivor Series. So now we got Stone Cold back. We got The Undertaker is back by this point. They're starting to get some good things doing. So what do you think would happen with Macho Man Randy Savage, Taz, Kane, and the Big Show as the Asylum, with those guys back leading into 2001? Drop me some comments below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you would have changed, what you'd like to see different, how you see it going. That's how we grow, people. This is fun. This is meant to be interactive, so interact with me. But always remember that the card is subject to change.